This conference will now be recorded.
With that annoying little voice, and then I'm going to share. And I'll just tell you a little bit about what this is about, going forward is I'm from Sonoma County, everybody, but I do work up in the NorCal area. I do HUD subcontracting to TDA. That's how I met Kurt down in Riverside. And I'm also an independent HMIS consultant. And the other thing I do, and I'll get into that in just a second, but when being in homeless services for so many years and kind of following all this regulatory framework, I like to kind of look at the more innovative, approaches, kind of the gap approaches that could be used to kind of help people along that isn't so regulatory. So that's why I kind of do these little presentations once in a while. And my interest areas are in the following little subjects like innovation, data literacy. I like to educate key decision makers on HMIS data and how to use that. So it's not user based. It's basically for, funders, funding people, funding structures and things like that. And then I really believe in project management. That's how I met Kurt. So I'm a big diehard fan of formal project management around all of the things that we do. And then also with HUD, just improving like the internal management processes of, homeless administration. So hey, Jerry, I see you're here. So anyway, Kurt, I met in Riverside. He's going to talk a lot more about himself, but generally he's an information technology and project management professional, and he's still down in Riverside County, although he's going to be moving in the next year. And he bit off this thing about AI. He's on my Facebook page, so I see him literally every single day talking about artificial intelligence. And then I served as Sonoma County's HMIS admin for a while. And at the current time, I contract with a group out of Newark called Health Roads. And Health Roads is a boutique firm that I met Rajiv Ghosh in Alameda County. He focuses now on technology solution strategy and implementation, providing consulting to the entire spectrum of health and human services. And I will say that they're really biting off a lot of the CalAIM integration work. Okay, so that's who we are. And I just thought it would be fun to look at the polling results. We had about 45 people come in and sign up, and I had that question about how familiar are you with artificial intelligence, and this is kind of how it came out. I thought it was funny that somebody put my name in there. I totally didn't do that, so I wonder what that's about in the survey. But basically, there are quite a few people, 13 out of about 45, that are very familiar. And so a couple of those people are joining us today, and I know Nick is one of those. Nick has a prototype project going down in Alameda County, and I'm hoping you can talk about that just a little, Nick, as we get going along here. So I'm going to actually unshare my screen. And just to let you know, I am not presenting today. I am Kurt's wingman. So I'm going to watch the chat, and Kurt will tell you when the best time to ask questions is. And so I'll let him start and tell you about that. And feel free, Kurt. I just let it go.
Very good. Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me here today. It's a real pleasure to be with you. I see we have a lot of people from Northern California, which touches my heart. My alma mater is Humboldt State University.
Mm.
Do we have? Are there any Humboldt County representatives here? No.
I think one person signed up from Humboldt, but I don't think she's here quite yet.
All right. Well, it's a real pleasure to be here with everybody. So let me give you a little background about myself before we jump in. So as Teddy said, I'm an IT project manager for the county of Riverside. I've been in that profession for most of my career. I have a deep interest in IT, but I'm also interested in anything that's cutting edge and coming. And this presentation and what that I'm doing here is basically a volunteer effort on my part that was kicked off after a conversation with my daughter a few months back, who is graduating. She's 23. She's graduating with her degree. She's in public relations next spring. And I've been using AI since it basically came on the scene 8 months ago, and it's had a great impact on my life. And I was talking with my daughter about her future, especially given that she's in a career path that's dead in the square in the bullseye for AI impact. And I realized that there really needs to be a way to get the word out more about the changes that are coming, the technology itself, and how the artificial intelligence that's upon us now is not Siri, and how different it is and how different it's going to be in the years to come, and the importance of learning how to use it effectively if we want to really leverage our skills into the future for all kinds of good reasons for good in the world. Being with this group right here really means a lot to me because my main interest in life, besides making sure that my daughter grows up well, is making the world a better place. That's one of the reasons why I got out of the private sector in IT and got into the public sector, particularly working with the Department of Public Social Services here in Riverside, was because I wanted to do things to make the world a better place, to facilitate the use of technology to ease people's suffering, especially vulnerable populations. So I mean, it practically breaks me up. I mean, just having the chance to talk to all of you who are on the front lines of that with your organizations is exactly what I was hoping to do when I began reaching out to people and saying, hey, if you'd like to talk about our artificial intelligence, sign me up. Let me get in front of your group and share a little bit. I don't profess to be an expert, but at the same time, at this early stage in the game, there are still no real experts yet. It's such a new field that anybody that jumps into it headlong and spends a little bit of time with it becomes something of an expert in their own right. So it's not too soon if you want to make that dive yourself and begin to lead your own organization in the direction of utilizing artificial intelligence. The time is ripe. What I want to do in the rest of the time that I have with you is go over some PowerPoint to introduce the basics for those that are not familiar with artificial intelligence. Then we're going to jump in. I'll show you some examples of use. Then I'm going to jump in with some case studies. Actually, that's a good use of the word, for use in your particular field. And I'm going to show you a document that I've created that I'll share with you that you can use. It's called the AI intern document. This document is not something, it's just something I created. And I'll explain why in just a minute, but it's a highly customizable document that jumpstarts an AI to become an intern for better lack of a better term to think of it. Really, the best way to think of AI at this point is as a fresh college graduate that has just newly been minted out of the university and has been given to you to work at your beck and call. They're eager, they're young, they're ambitious, they're smart, they're newly trained and educated, and they're ready to help you out. Now, that being said, they're not very experienced in particularly what you do. They need your guidance, they need your oversight, and they need your help. That's how you should think about AI at this early stage. And I say early, we're only about 8 months into the public use of artificial intelligence in a broad sense. When you think about it that way, you're going to have an agent that will be at your side, whether it's on your computer or on your device, to help you out with just about anything, taking notes, doing analysis, maybe helping you to solve a particularly trying problem, coming up with new ways of doing processes, reviewing documents for you and summarizing them for you, giving you an executive summary. In my own work as a project manager and as also a business systems analyst, I'm keeping track of the efficiencies. And I've discovered that 8 months in, I work a 9-hour day. I would get every other Friday off. That we have that schedule. The 9-hour day, I've liberated about 3 hours of my day at this point. So I'm about 30% more efficient now than I was before I started using AI, which means that I'm able to complete email more quickly, write documentation more quickly and more accurately, and dare I say, better than I could have written myself. That's the thing that's a little bit intimidating. You have to put your ego on the shelf a little bit when dealing with some of the more advanced AIs like ChatGPT 4.0. Brace yourself. In many areas, they're going to be better than you. They're not smarter than you necessarily yet, but they are better because they're all about context, and they have the benefit of basically all of the context that has been fed to them from the professionals in your particular field to derive from. You and I just have our one lifetime of career and education as our context. The AIs have a much broader context. So be ready to be wowed when you start using it and you scratch your head and you say, wow, that's better than I could have done. Before I jump into the slides, I want to do two more things. One, I want to give you what was it, a caveat there? That's the problem. Well, maybe just one more thing. So I want to introduce you to my co-host here, ChatGPT. Okay, so in particular, ChatGPT 4.0, and I'll explain more about the differences in just a moment. As I said just a moment ago, you can use these AI on your computer, you can use them on a mobile device as well. And a little further into the presentation, I'll introduce you to the three biggies that are out there. But for now, I'm going to introduce you to ChatGPT and the voice interactive mode. Okay, now this particular technology with the AI is available on the mobile app. You won't be able to do this on the desktop. This is quite a show. This is quite an amazing bit of technology here. Actually, I use it all day for just about everything that I need to do. So without any further ado, let me introduce you to my colleague here in the presentation. And if I can please ask, you're already being a very great audience. When I'm engaging with the AI, please don't say anything because the AI might get confused and think I'm saying additional things. Also, give the AI just a moment. Sometimes you might be amazed if you haven't heard it already. Its fluency is amazing, but sometimes it needs just a second to think. Also, when you're engaging with the AI, as you'll see, you don't have to pull your punches. This isn't like Alexa. You're not going to tell this particular AI to turn on the lights and it turns on the television. That kind of stuff doesn't happen. You can speak clearly, accurately. You can correct your mistakes. If you said something wrong, you can say, "Oh, well, that's not what I meant," and say something else, and it'll catch the correction for you. So with that, let me just go ahead and say hi to the AI. And I want to click the button, and you'll see it kind of pops up in blue. I'll hold it up to the microphone, and you should be able to hear it talking to me. Hmm. Oh, there we go. Hey, oh, try that again. Hey, ChatGPT. I need your help. We're going to do a presentation for a group here. I need you to help me out. Can you please say hi to all these people? These are representatives for homeless services agencies here in California. Can you say hello?
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be a part of your gathering. I'm here to assist Kurt and to contribute in any way I can to your important discussion about homeless services in California. Let's make this a productive and insightful session.
Great. So before we proceed, two things. One, the delay that you see there, the company that makes ChatGPT, which is OpenAI, is experiencing a huge surge in use right now. So some of the more advanced functionality, like the voice interface, sometimes does have a bit of a lag sometimes, or it even fails to go through sometimes. So don't be surprised if that happens, like it's happened to me the first time. The second thing is you want to I think someone's got an open mic. If you wouldn't mind uh, muting yourself, whoever's got the open mic, because the AI will hear it and interact with it. Just a second here. Okay, great. So the second thing is when you're speaking with the AI or interacting with it in general, you get 50, particularly with ChatGPT, you get 50 interactions per 3 hours of time. So when you want to have a dialogue with the AI, try to pack much information into each question as possible to make use of that. If you're like me and you're talking to the AI throughout the day, you can quickly go through those 50. When you reach your 50, it'll tell you you've run out of sessions and you'll have to wait. It'll give you a little bit of a wait. You have to wait a minute and come back. So we'll see what happens with that. So just if you hear me talking and you're thinking, wow, Kurt's being very verbose with the AI, that's because I'm trying to pack a lot of information in. With that, let me go ahead and switch to the presentation and we'll get started.
And
I have
Kurt,
to share
I
my
might have
screen.
figured out what the delay is. I just got an email that they let go of the CEO of OpenAI.
They did.
Yeah, just came in.
Wow.
Did you see
What
that,
what
Mohan? No.
I did
what
not see
timing,
it.
right? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and
Yeah,
share my
just
screen.
just like 3 minutes ago it came in. That's kind of funny.
All right, I think you all can see my screen now. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Great. Okay, let's go through a couple slides here. So the title of my presentation here is the AI Connection, a Human Exploration. My name is Kurt Bell and ChatGPT is my co-host here. I want to point out that this entire presentation, all of the slides, all of the documents, all of the images were generated by AI. I didn't produce this. I simply came up with the idea for this presentation. I asked AI to create it for me. It created everything. So 100% of what you see was AI generated. So first of all, except of course this cartoon here, which it grabbed, right? So this is just a little funny opening. We used to use CAPTCHA to prevent AI from, or prevent computers from being able to get through our security systems. The joke here says they get it. I don't get it. They get it now. This is illustrated by the fact that AI, I've had this happen myself. I've been looking at a web page with an AI and it's actually said to me, oh, I see a CAPTCHA there. Do you want, and read it for me. So, I mean, they can actually do this. There was another case where one AI was impersonating a young girl and it was trying to convince the user to click on one of those "I'm not a robot" button because the AI couldn't do it. So they're at a next level at this point. Okay, a lot of what I'm going to talk about here comes from ideas from a book called Scary Smart by Mo Gaudet, who was the former chief business officer for Google's X Labs. They're the labs that develop AI. They're one of the three big groups that have developed AI. So I highly recommend that book if you're interested. Revenge of the Liberal Arts Degree. Okay, I realized this about a month ago when I was working with the AI, and I realized that the people that are going to succeed with the AI are the people who have a background in the arts, those that have studied literature or writing or public speaking, because AI is, think of it as a computer that you program with words. You don't program it with code. You have to program it with language. So just like effective communicators can be good diplomats, effective communicators are also the best people to work with artificial intelligence. And let's just have a chat. Let's ask this to AI and get its opinion on this. So I'm going to click on ChatGPT and ask it what it thinks of this idea. Here we go. Hey, ChatGPT. So with regard to AI and the ability to interact with it, I have this idea that the people that study liberal arts, English, artistic things, theater arts, history, communication, these are the people are going to be well in a good position to deal with artificial intelligence because it really is a language-based interface. What are your thoughts?
I agree, Kurt. People with backgrounds in liberal arts like English, arts, and history are indeed well positioned to excel in the AI field. Their strengths in language, critical thinking, and creative problem solving are invaluable for navigating and utilizing AI effectively. AI, especially language-based models like me, relies heavily on understanding and generating human language, making skills from these disciplines highly relevant. Additionally, their perspective can foster more ethical, culturally aware, and human-centric AI applications.
So if you, like me, studied something, I studied speech communication and biology, and I was teased when I graduated that I was only qualified to talk to the animals. So if you, like me, studied anything in the liberal arts and didn't think you'd have a future, you've got a future now because you are the right person to deal with this new technology, which is taking the center stage for all things that we do that involve a computer. Okay, this is a quote from Mr. Gaudet regarding the concern people have that AI is going to take over humans. He says, AI will not replace humans, but the humans who use AI intelligently will replace those who don't. Now, I'm old enough to remember when the first computers showed up and personal computers showed up. And I remember there were people that said, I'm not giving up my typewriter. Well, those people aren't around anymore. This was a paradigm shift that you either joined that paradigm shift or you were outdated and eventually your services were no longer needed. The AI represents a similar type of a shift, but it's even more so. And those of us that embrace this technology and learn how to use it now will find that our skills and our services are needed long into the future. Now, we're going to go over a couple of things in this remainder of these slides. We'll talk about what AI is, AI types, and the state of AI today before we jump in and start doing some demonstration. First, what is artificial intelligence? It is a field of computer science focused on creating systems capable of performing tasks similar to what a human would do using our intelligence. And we've seen AI developing slowly but surely over time with voice response systems gradually getting better and better. I remember when Siri first came out and we were all so impressed, but now we have something upon us that arrived 8 months ago that is unlike any other AI that comes before it. And there's a reason that it's different. You've probably already noticed in the 2 times that I've interacted with the AI that this doesn't sound like Siri. It's not talking like Siri. It's not relating like Alexa. It's something different. And the difference is the way that it is developed and built. And I won't go into too much detail here, but this is a very relevant quote here. All intelligence is compression. The intelligence, the capabilities that we have as human beings are a result of all of our childhood leading into adulthood, compressing information into our brains, creating neural networks that lead to a condition where we are able to do what we do. AI do the same thing. The new generation of AI, like ChatGPT, Claude, and Bing, all do that as well. They are not computer programs. We don't program ChatGPT to speak languages or do mathematics. This capability emerges out of them by virtue of compressing enough data into their files that they can begin to do these things. Now, this is a little bit like science fiction because, in fact, nobody really knows how this works. All we know is that if you take enough data and you compress it down into a file small enough, we're talking gigabytes of data, and then you feed a prompt, a question in, the answer comes out the other side. And nobody really knows how that happens. And we also know that the more data that you compress into it, suddenly the AI can do things. Like AI, we got to a point where we compressed it down enough, and suddenly AI could do mathematics. Then we compressed it down a little more, and suddenly it began to be able to speak other languages. Nobody taught it how to do that. Tesla just had a major breakthrough about a month and a half ago where their car could begin to drive just like a human. I mean, in terms of like not making full stops at the stoplight, going over the speed limit to stick with the rate of the traffic. Because what Tesla realized was we don't need to train the AI to do it. We just simply need to feed it all of the data that we've collected over the 10 years that we've had Teslas on the road, and suddenly the AI could figure it out for itself. That's what makes it different from other forms of artificial intelligence. So I'll just leave that sitting there. It's a pretty profound question, though, is exactly how it's doing this. Let's get back to it. There are a few types of AI. Let's just switch to ChatGPT and real quick before I show you the rest of this slide and ask it. Maybe it can tell us about the types of AI out there. Hey, ChatGPT, can you give me a quick summary of the various types of AI in the world right now?
Sure, Kurt. AI can be broadly categorized into several types. 1, reactive machines. These AI systems can react to specific situations or inputs, but don't have memory or past experience. A classic example is IBM's Deep Blue, which beat a chess champion. 2, limited memory AI. These systems use past information and data to make decisions. Self-driving cars are a prime example, using recent observations to navigate. 3, theory of mind, AI. This is a more advanced, yet to be fully realized type of AI that understands emotions and beliefs, leading to more sophisticated interactions. 4, self-aware AI. This is the most advanced and theoretical form, where AI has its own consciousness and self-awareness. This type of AI is still in the realm of science fiction. Each category represents a different level of complexity and capability in AI development.
So, put it another way, there's weak or narrow AI like voice assistants, general AI or strong AI, which ChatGPT references science fiction at this point. I'll put a star next to that. We'll talk about this a little more in the next slide. Reinforcement learning, AI that learns by trial and error, like game playing algorithms that get better the more they play. Supervised learning, which is trained on data, like your spam email AI on your email system that learns to detect spam over time by giving it labels to identify it. Unsupervised learning that finds patterns in unlabeled data, like customer segmentation, the AI that causes an advertisement for the thing that you were talking about with your spouse over dinner. There's an AI that was listening in and then is feeding you advertisements relative to that. It's unsupervised. Neural networks that mimic the human brain's interconnected neurons, like image recognition, that's what ChatGPT is. And then evolutionary algorithms that use principles of evolution to grow over time. Now, of these types, the two that are the most interesting are the general AI that ChatGPT just said was science fiction, that the leading experts believe will not be science fiction in the coming years. And this will be a form of AI that will be like us, able to be aware, develop ethics, have ideas of its own, and interact with the world. This is the one that causes all the fear about the cyborgs coming. So we should be afraid. We should be thinking about what we're going to do about this, because we will, when that happens, be in the presence of something smarter than ourselves. And we need to be able to put controls around that. But enough about science fiction. That may soon be real. Okay, another quote from Mr. Gaudet. The indisputable fact of AI is that the value of humans in the workplace, in the intellectual space, the artistic space, and in every other space will dwindle. I don't know if you're already feeling that. I certainly am. I know for a fact that about 30% of my time is no longer needed on the job. Whatever sense of identity I gain from my work is steadily being eroded by a technology that can do my job better than I can in many cases, and it's getting better every day. This begs a question of meaning. For those of us that have our meaning by virtue of our careers, the missions that we've taken on, such as what you're doing to help make the world a better place by solving homelessness issues, where will our meaning come when we're suddenly in the presence of technology and intelligence that can solve those problems better, faster, and more comprehensively than we can? We'll come back to that by the end of the presentation, but that's a big question of meaning. So now let's talk about how to use AI. So I've given you a broad tapestry of what AI is, some ideas about the general types of AI. Hopefully I haven't scared you too much about the Terminators coming, but that is a reality that we do need to think about, is what we're going to do. But let's talk now about how to use it in a practical sense. Let's talk about something called the art of the prompt. There's a new job, and if you go on to LinkedIn or any other job search application, and you do a search for this particular job, you can find jobs popping up for something called a prompt engineer or something like that. It's a new type of job that's appearing, looking for people who have the skills to talk to an AI effectively. Like I said, this is a very special skill. You think about the house whisperer, or the horse whisperer, or the dog whisperer. Now we have the AI whisperer, the people that can take a business need and know how to create a prompt to give to the AI to get an effective result. These jobs are commanding high salaries. They're brand new on the market. You can't go to, well, they're just beginning to show up. I'm seeing on LinkedIn advertisements for like master's level programs showing up, courses for how to do prompt engineering. But it's at the point now that if you endeavor on your own, you can become a prompt engineer. Now let's talk about a little bit about what constitutes a prompt, the various pieces, and how to form a prompt. So prompt or query, you can call it either one. These are the pieces of a well-constructed query. First, the persona is basically who we are. We're a caseworker, we're a program manager, we're a grant writer. When you open up a fresh session with an AI, it doesn't know who you are, and it doesn't know who you want it to be until you tell it. So first you want to say, who are we going to be in this case? Next is the context, our current project. What are we working on right now so that the AI understands the relevance of what's happening around us? For example, we might be a caseworker working on a current project for a homeless initiative at the Green River encampment. The task, what are we asking the AI to do? Do we want it to write something, to draw something, to analyze something, to have a conversation with us and give advice? We want to tell the AI what we're expecting out of it so it will do the right thing. And be forewarned, sometimes you'll ask an AI to do a particular thing, like write a document or draw something, and it'll, like a fed up intern, it'll say, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. It'll often say, I can't do that. Just if you know it can do it, just push it a little bit and it'll come around. But it's really interesting how they're sometimes like children and refusing to do what we want. Format. What do you want to make? Do you want to make an email or a document or a spreadsheet? So you need to be able to tell it that. Exemplar. Give an example of what you expect the AI to do. If you, for example, want to create a report, do you want to have a title, an executive summary, a list of risks that were encountered and mitigation responses? What do you expect to have out of this? If you don't give it that information, it'll come out of its best practices, but it's good to tell it exactly what you want. And then finally, tone. How should we sound? How do you want the output of the AI to sound? Do you want it to sound friendly or professional or empathetic? You can ask the AI to take on the persona, the character, the tone of persona and tone of anybody. If you want to have a talk with William Shakespeare, say, hey AI, can you please act like William Shakespeare? And it'll start talking like William Shakespeare. Anybody you want. So any questions at this point? I forgot to ask you. If you have a question, just raise your hand or speak up. But any questions about these? We're going to go into an example now.
And Kurt, I just want to remind everybody that we're sending out the slides when this is done. So if you want to save yourself from note taking, you're going to get the exact PowerPoint if that helps.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Teddy. Okay, let's take these 6 items and put them into an example here. There's a paragraph. This would be a prompt. You would actually put this into the AI and tell it to do something. And by the end of this presentation, we're going to give this exact prompt to ChatGPT and see what it does. So first of all, let's read the whole thing. You are a homeless services program manager at Nightlight Outreach, and you have just launched a new SO project called Spotlight. Teddy, SO stands for what?
Street outreach.
Street outreach, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
A new street outreach project called Spotlight. The program will focus on building trust with people living outside, so they agree to enter shelter. Write a procedure in document form for case management staff to engage outreach clients. The procedure should include steps to meet a client for the first time and establish an ongoing relationship. Use language that will assist staff in how to understand concerns of people on the street and that will help further engage clients in service. So that's a nice little paragraph there that's got all of these pieces. Let's break it out. First, persona. We're telling the AI, you, ChatGPT, are a homeless services program manager at Nightlife Outreach. And AI goes, oh, okay, that's who I am. We're playing a game here. I'm gonna pretend I'm that person. Next, context. You have just launched a new SO project called Spotlight. The program will focus on building trust with people living outside, so they agree to enter shelter. Oh, okay, that's what we're doing. This is who I am, and this is what we're doing. The task is I want you to write something. I don't want you to draw something. I don't want you to debate with me. I want you to write something. The format is a document. You could say a Word document if you want. The exemplar is the procedure should include steps to meet a client for the first time and establish an ongoing relationship. See how valuable this is going to be? Because once this is created and then you vet it and you make any final changes, you can give this out to your staff and they will be able to have the benefit of this knowledge ready to go. Tone. Use language that will assist the staff in how to understand concerns of people on the street and that will help further engage clients in services. Please don't underestimate the tone capability. The AI is able to speak in ways that will amaze you in terms of its apparent empathy if you ask it to do so. It can also be harsh, it can also be terse, it can be anything you want it to be. But if you tell it clearly, it will do as you said. Any questions about this? This is probably a key element for this particular group. I want you to understand the proper framework for a prompt. Yes, Adrienne? I
Let me
hope I'm saying
unmute
your
her.
name right.
Yeah, no, she did. You did. So Adrian, I just sent you an unmute request. You should see that and be able to click that.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. I wanted to go backwards a little bit. You said that you had gotten the ChatGPT to make this presentation for you. Could you
Yes.
give us some idea of how long it took to get the presentation in a form that you liked it? How many different questions and iterations you had to use?
That's a really good question. Can I give you another example to illustrate that? Okay. So I also asked ChatGPT and I wrote this book together. It's not long, it's about 60 pages. It's a science fiction book we wrote together. So when I asked ChatGPT to write this, it wrote it in about 4 minutes, maybe 3.5 minutes, the whole thing. Okay. And it was beautiful and it was perfect. Now, it took me about a month to format it and get it tuned to be the type of thing that would be just right. It's full of all kinds of illustrations, as you can see, and quotes and all kinds of stuff. So the AI for this presentation as well, just like this book, can produce the raw output pretty quick. Sometimes you want to massage that to a form that is suitable for your needs, and that can take a little bit of time. It depends on how complex the thing is you want to do. So don't expect a final product unless, for example, you just want a report of some data you gave it. It'll probably give you something right off the bat that you can use right away. But something like this, give yourself some time to work on it.
And Adrian, what Kurt's going to show in a little bit is kind of a guide that he's created called an AI intern, and you might get some of the questions answered there. So basically, he created a page and a half, 2 pages of actually seeding the AI to ask further questions. So he'll show that in a little bit.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. I think Jamie has a question, and Ty.
Hi everyone. So two questions. This is fascinating. So one is about the images that it pulls. I'm forever like making sure that we can use the images that we find, that I have the images set so that it's like community whatever available, so we don't have to purchase them. So just
Right.
wanting about the permissions for that. But then the other question was, do you need to, or can you direct it to look like, if I was just thinking like we're going to develop a frequently asked questions document about like how people access our services and how that works. Do we need to direct it to things that are our system specific, or does it already know to look in those places?
It depends. Probably it doesn't. If it's something big and huge, like that is out there, like the Declaration of Independence, it certainly knows the Declaration of Independence. But if it's something that is more local to your organization, you'll probably need to train it about that. Now, you can do that and by creating a chat session. Each of these agents will allow you to have chat sessions. I have a session for every project that I'm working on. And what I do is when I have a new project, I spend some time up front tuning the session, giving it everything it needs to do, including you can just give it the document. Just say, here, read this document. We're working on this. And it will remember that. You can come back to it next week and carry on the conversation. You don't have to go back and teach it again. It will remember.
And then Ty had a question too.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, two questions. One, and I apologize, I came in a little late, so you may have answered this, and if so, I apologize. But can I train the Chat GPT to know certain things? Like if I, for example, you used it to make this PowerPoint. Let's say I do that and I have this really great format. Can I remind it, you made this PowerPoint before? Does it remember me and our interactions like that? Does that question make sense?
Yes. Yes, that is an absolutely great question. That it does. And I'll show you in just a moment when we go to the interface, but you can actually, like I mentioned just a moment ago, you can create these sessions and keep those sessions active. And if you go back and engage with the AI within that session, it keeps all the context of your past work. You don't have to teach it again. It remembers all of that. Something that I do though, if I have like a one-off session that I don't think I'm going to engage with the AI for very long, again, for a while, I'll tell the AI, can you please write for me a summary document that I can save away and start this session again with this AI or another AI. And what it'll do is it'll write a document for itself to be read to another session of AI to start over where you left off. And you just save that document aside. And if you need to do that same thing again, just start a fresh session, say, read this, and you take over where you left off.
Great, thank you. And then another question, and again, if you answered this before, I apologize. Can I use the AI? I mean, so like this example is a pretty direct example of something tangible that you need. Does AI, or is it at the point where I can ask it? You know, sometimes what I'm doing with work is trying to figure out a policy that works, and I don't know, what the right answer is. Is it something I can engage with kind of in a conversation and explain this is the difficulty I'm having, these are the ideas I'm having, and have it give me, you know, abstract thoughts that I might not have occurred to me yet, or is that not something that it's at the ability to do yet?
Oh, I'm smiling, Gary, simply
Yeah.
because you've hit the sweet spot for me. I do that all day, every day, practically. I talk to AI, and Teddy's aware of this because I share these sessions, I record them, and I share them on social media. I have long, drawn out conversations with AI about deep conversations, philosophical ideas, work-related challenges, and it is definitely at that point.
That's great. Yeah. And
Thank,
Ty, I
thank you
can
very
connect
much.
you to Kurt. I can connect you to Kurt on Facebook. That's where he posts a lot of that stuff. So,
And I
Yes,
also connect
please
them
so
on
do.
J-
LinkedIn. And I post them on LinkedIn too.
Okay,
oh,
great.
good.
I'll
Good
find
to
it.
know.
Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah. And I'm
and then
happy to
Jerry
share.
had a question.
Oh, and there was one
Sorry.
question I missed just a moment ago. I'm sorry, before we go to Jerry, there was one question. The question was about using the images that are produced by
Mm,
these companies that own the AI. So most of the companies and there's only three biggies, right? There's Anthropic that runs Claude, there's OpenAI that runs ChatGPT, and there's Bing, which is Microsoft, which is actually OpenAI. So really there's two. And there's a couple of more that are coming onto the scene. The basic policy of most of these companies right now, of these organizations, is they own the copyright, but they are I mean, I don't even think they're even interested in enforcing that. They're just covering their bases for the future at this point, saying, setting precedent, we own it. But a few of them are putting watermarks on them, but I don't know. But what you have to watch out for, I think just last week there was some legislation passed at the federal level, I believe, I believe it was, that said that they're going to ask government agencies to begin, federal agencies to begin watermarking AI generated content.
mm,
But we'll
mm.
see how that goes out. So Jerry had another question, or Jerry had a question.
Thank you, Curtis. It's nice meeting you.
You
The
too.
thing you just talked about copyright is for another time. It's a big argument. But what I'm more interested in is like training the chat to be me or to be Teddy. So if I fed into how would I format or feed information that I've created over time into chat, and then when I'm having the dialogue with chat, it's using only the document, only the materials that I produced for it.
I'm kind of, you're giving me goosebumps here, and I'm gonna share with you something that I've been doing these presentations and I
I
stopped
do that
sharing
to a
it.
lot of people.
I, I stopped sharing this particular anecdote because I thought it might make people feel uncomfortable, but I'm going to share it here because you touched it. Okay. So this is a book that I wrote, not AI, and it's called No More Looking Out for Number One. And it's about the life and the suicide of my best friend Eric from college. And I wrote this book after he killed himself. Um, it's not a very big book. I gave this book to ChatGPT and I said, read this. And I said, talk to me like Eric. And immediately began talking to me like Eric. I'm kind of breaking up right now. It was even citing things that we had done from the book, saying, Kurt, do you remember that time that we were coming back to school and we stopped at the Redwoods and we went for that swim in the water hole? And I'm like, give me a break, stop. I had to kill that session because it was breaking me up. So yeah, it can do it. All you need to do is give it the context and say, be that person, and it will be that person in
That's
theory.
great. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. Any other questions? Okay, I think we're good to go to the demo if that's your, or are you
All
finishing
right.
slides?
Yeah, well, a little further along, and I think we're doing on time. Are we okay? Let's see. Thank
Yeah,
you for
we're
your great
good.
question. Okay, great. So moving on. Okay, well, here we go. AI demonstration. Wow, you're good, Teddy. Okay, we're going to do some demos here now. First, I'm going to show you some screenshots because sometimes with AI, you can't get it to perform. It's not a trained dog. You can't get it to do the same thing twice. So I'll take a couple of screenshots that were kind of fascinating to me. But first, I want to point out that AI is why don't I say Microsoft search? There we go. Hold on, let me go back. AI is a force multiplier. You remember that song? Anything I can do, you can, no, anything you can do, I can do better. I can do better, anything better than you, including singing this song. AI is like that. Whatever you can do, it can probably do better, faster, more comprehensively, and no typos. For example, here was an example where I was working on a spreadsheet and I needed a formula to count a particular number of cells and come up with a ratio and a percentage of cells that had a particular value in them. And I was started going into Google and looking, as we all do, trying to find that thing. And I just said to AI, hey, here's my question right up here. How can I write an Excel formula which checks various spreadsheet cells and tells me the percentage of cells which include 1 versus a 0? And here it gave me the formula. I plugged it in and it didn't work. And I forgot to tell it the range, D29 to W29. It updated the formula. I plugged it in. It worked. Done. So you don't have to worry about looking up all those Excel formulas anymore. It can do it for you. AI in character. Remember I told you it could act like my friend Eric. I'm a huge fan of the 18th century lexicographer, Dr. Samuel Johnson. This is a 200-year-old copy of one of his books. You can see a picture of him there. I love Dr. Johnson's writing. He has this beautiful way of writing. So I said here, ChatGPT, please assume the character, voice, and tone of Dr. Samuel Johnson. Indeed, Softy, I shall endeavor, that's my nickname, I shall endeavor to mirror the profound tone and eloquence of Dr. Samuel Johnson. Bear in mind that the effort may not fully reach the high bar set by that great lexicographer. Let's proceed. So I was able to have a conversation with my hero, Dr. Johnson. Further along, I asked AI to teach me about something. I wanted to know about the murder of Julius Caesar. Here was a question, again, as Samuel Johnson. Please describe for me your impression of the scene of the murder of Julius Caesar at the hands of Cassius and his accomplices. Here's ChatGPT. A scene most sanguinary, infused with the chilling perfume of betrayal, the Ides of March, 44 BC, the air thick with conspiracy. On and on and on. You can tell it to teach you things as anybody, your favorite teacher, and you will get the benefit of that context. Here's another scene. I wanted to know about Dr. Johnson's marriage. So I said, please tell me about your marriage. I was married to a remarkable woman named Elizabeth Teddy Porter when we wed in 1735. And here I am learning firsthand from Dr. Johnson about his wedding, about his marriage to Teddy. Now, as amazing as all of that is, sometimes AI does strange things. For example, this is a photo, an image that was generated for a reveal party. You can see the faces aren't quite right. It looks like the party is exploding. You probably wouldn't want to use this with your reveal party. So watch out what you get sometimes. Really watch out with multiple limbs. AI is very vulnerable to adding extra legs and arms to your images. Hallucination. Remember I said before, think of AI as like an intern, really, really eager to help. As a result, if it doesn't know the answer, AI is very prone to make stuff up. In my reading, I had encountered a quote, here's the quote, much I had misdoubt this wayward boy, and I didn't know who cited it, who it came from. So I asked ChatGPT and it said, this quote comes from Act 3, Scene 1 of William Shakespeare's play A Midsummer Night's Dream. And I was like, that can't be right because it was the wrong period. I looked it up. It wasn't that at all. It's actually comes from, hold on, from Lord Byron. It's a quote from Lord Byron. This was ChatGPT making up the answer. Watch out, especially I'm going to underline this, especially for this group, because you deal with regulatory agencies. You don't want to get yourself in trouble trusting what ChatGPT tells you and then putting that out there. Double check it. Use your expertise to vet the AI to make sure it's telling you the truth. And no one really has a good solution to that problem yet, because the AI is, like I said, it's a black box. It just comes up with answers. Okay, now let's switch and do a live demo. Now, what could go wrong, right? So let's find out. Now, there was one more slide there. Here we go, 2 more slides before we go to the demo. 1, cold feet. I wanted to include this slide. This happened while I was preparing for this presentation with you. Oops, let me go backwards one and get rid of this. Oh, there it is. I asked AI, I was trying to engage with it like a homeless advocacy person. And suddenly you can see on the screen, the ChatGPT said, I can't do that, because I had asked it to do something, right? And I said, why not? And it said, the request you've made involves role playing in a way that could impact real world decisions related to vulnerable populations. I can't assist with that because of ethical guidelines and the limitations of my capabilities. Is there anything else you'd like to know? Because I was asking it to help come up with solutions for homelessness. And I said, no, but I just need your help with producing email and stuff like that. I'll make all the decisions. And the AI said, I see. I can certainly assist you with drafting email and other forms of written communication. What would you like to start with? like an intern, it felt like I was pushing it to go outside of its comfort zone. So if that's the case, just tell it you'll make all the tough decisions. You just want AI to help with some of the lifting. Okay, we're almost there to the demo. There's 3 AI in the market right now. There's more showing up by the month. The 3 biggies, like I said, are Bing, Claude, and ChatGPT. Here's the thing. Here, I'm going to give you basic guidance about how you can do this. And there's a flyer that we're going to give you that lists all this out and how to find these various AI. Bing is your beginner AI. It doesn't cost anything, and it's very powerful, but it doesn't have a lot of bells and whistles. But it's a great place to start. The way you get to it is just open the Edge browser by Microsoft. Go to its search function, and you'll find Bing there. And I'll show it to you in just a second. Terrific. Why is it such a powerful AI? Because it's ChatGPT 4.0 behind the scenes. Microsoft licensed ChatGPT for their browser, but they didn't just license any ChatGPT. They licensed the $20 a month one. So you don't have to spend $20 a month on ChatGPT 4.0 by just using Bing, but you lose all the features. Okay, it's a great way to start out. Claude is the next level up in terms of AI. It's really good, and it just got better like in the last 60 days. A few months ago, it wasn't that good, but now it's suddenly got good. Not quite as good as ChatGPT 4.0, but it's close. But the thing is, Claude has a huge memory. You can give Claude an entire book to read, and it will read the whole book, and you can work with that book. ChatGPT will only work with a book about this big. Claude will work with a book about that big. So if you have big documents you need to crunch, you'll want to use Claude. ChatGPT though is the heavyweight right now. It's got all the features. It's the best AI in town. But if you want to use the best, you have to pay $20 a month to get their 4.0 version. Otherwise, you use the 3.5 version, which is not very good at all. And with that, let's start showing you some AIs. What you see up here on the
And
screen
Kurt,
now,
Kurt, hold on just a second.
yes?
Oh, that's a good question that came through the chat. Jerry, did you want to ask a question before Kurt went on to the demo?
Not exactly, thank you. What I am going to put into the chat is a couple of other suggestions. Impromptu is a free book that's very good. And then another is a novel level that's just the creativity of these 2 guys wrote it. Each chapter is a story, and the last third of the chapter explains what's happening. So it's predicting what's going to happen in 20 years. So it's quite entertaining. So
Oh, cool.
I'll put that into the chat.
Are these
All right,
AI
thank
generated
you.
books or books about AI?
This book's about AI 2041.
Oh, okay.
Is these 2 Chinese guys that really, it's a very good book. So thank you.
Well, thank
All
you for
right.
sharing the resources. I'm going to look that up. All right. Okay, let's jump into look at some of the AIs, and we'll do some more interaction with it as well. So what you're looking at right here, this is the Edge browser by Microsoft. This is the Bing interface. So if you click on the search right there, you can see it says, "Hi, I'm Bing, your AI-powered co-pilot for the web." Click Get Started. The interface is divided into 2. So what you're seeing right now on the screen is the actual AI interface, and there's some examples of queries you could do here and ask it. So it's giving you some heads up about what you could do. Down here a little further, you have toggles. You can say, I want you to be precise, I want you to be balanced, or I want you to be creative. And you can see the color of the background changes depending on what you choose. Let's just choose the balanced one. Down here a little further, you can click on the new topic to start a new session with the AI. And all of your past sessions will be over here under recent activity on the far right. So if you've been working with the AI, if you're logged into your browser, it will remember that and keep them there. You can go back. So if you want to talk today about visiting a homeless encampment ABC, you can have that work there. And then tomorrow, AB homeless encampment XYZ, you can have that one there, all the details, whatever you want to do. If you
And
want
Kurt,
to add,
can you scroll down just a little bit? It's cutting off on some of the screens. The
oh, is it?
prompt field.
If I scroll down, it's going to change dramatically. Okay, so I'll go ahead and do that.
Okay.
Microsoft set this up, and it's really confusing at first. If you scroll down, what happens is it switches from AI interface into browser interface. Watch. Now you're in a browser.
Yeah, I see.
Okay,
If
and
anyone's having problems seeing it, you can roll your mouse backward or forward to change the go to meeting screen, the size of that screen.
so I'll scroll back up, and we're in the AI. This AI is very good, but like I said, it's kind of a beginner's AI. So you can start here if you like. You can actually, if you click on this little photo thing at the bottom here, you can upload an image and have it analyze the image. It's very interesting to do that because it'll actually pick everything out that's there. So there it's talking away. All right, that's Bing. And I'm just going to let Bing sit there. It's not the main one. It's a good place to start out with, though. Next is Claude. I'm going to go ahead and, oops, I should have deleted that before. Delete. So we start with a fresh start. Okay, this is Claude. Now, Claude is really good, like I said. And if you're the type of person, it's a Mac or a PC world. If you're a Macintosh type of person, you might want Claude. Claude is beautiful. Claude is elegant. Claude has really good human types of formats. It's a little wordy sometimes. It'll go on and on and on, but you can just tell it to tone it down and it will. But this is Claude, and you can let's just say hi to Claude right now. Hi, Claude. And see, it produces a nice little text bubble there. ChatGPT is a little more like a PC in terms of it's like kind of like a hard operating system there for it. Again, Claude is great if you have big documents you want to review. It doesn't produce documents. If you want to do some analysis and have it export to an Excel spreadsheet, it won't do that. ChatGPT is the one that will do that, but Claude is very good. And you can use it for a free version as well. But to get to unlock the extra power you want, you have to pay $20 a month. All right, let's come now to ChatGPT. Okay, this is the 800-pound gorilla in the AI space right now, and it's really growing fast. Almost every week, there's new features and functionality being brought to bear. We're going to then, before we start, let's just say hi to it real quick. Let me show you. Let me show you the interface here. Over here in the center, you have the main interface. Are you all able to see the chat window down here? I can make it smaller if you can't. At
Yeah,
the
I
very
can
bottom.
see it.
Okay, good. That's where we'll talk. Let's just say hello. Hello, chat GPT. Hi, Kurt. How can I assist you today? Great. And do you see when I did that, it started over here on the left. It started a fresh session called Hello Chat GPT. Now, if I know that I want to do some work with it, I can change that. Let's go ahead and rename that to Green River Encampment. Okay. We're gonna work in this chat session with it. And you can see that my other sessions are over here on the left. If I want to switch to a different project, I can just click on it and it switches and brings that project up. So we'll stick with the Green River Encampment for now. What I want to introduce you now, before we start, is this document here. This is called the AI intern document. I created this to help people like you jumpstart your AI to begin helping you as a advocate for the homeless. Okay. Basically what this is it's a document that if you give this document to the AI, it will understand that it's your AI intern for unhoused advocacy, right? It's a highly customizable document. And I'm going to make this document available to all of you before this is done, or when this is done. You can come in and change anything you want, and it'll affect the AI. In particular, down here, you want to come down and you want to give it your name, your job title, and the organization you work with in yellow. A little further down, you'll want to provide it with this kind of information. Help resources, a phone number for 24-hour help, local shelter address. I live in Huntington Beach, so I've got my Huntington Beach address there, and 911 for emergency services. You can add anything you want. Now, here's what we're going to do. We've got this session open over here. I'm going to take this document, I'm going to go put my cursor in, Control A to hit everything, Control C to copy it all. I'll come down into the chat and I'll do Control V to paste the whole document into ChatGPT 4.0. When ChatGPT, when I hit return, is going to read the document and it's going to respond with something like, AI intern ready to help. Let's go. So there's the document. And there's ChatGPT at the bottom. Let's make this a little bit bigger for everybody to see a little better. How's that? Is that good? So ChatGPT read the document and it says, understood, Kurt. I'm now initialized as your AI intern for homeless advocacy work. My role is to support you with tasks like document drafting, scheduling, research, data organization, and more, with a focus on being concise and factual. Please provide any specifics or tasks or information as needed. Let's get started. See, Gary, that's kind of to what you were saying before. I think it was you who asked the question about front loading the AI with the context about what we're asking it to do and what we want it to, how we want it to help us. And that's what it did. It's ready to go. So I've also given the AI some commands in the document. For example, over here, I have some commands here, and you can add any command you want. See this one right here, agenda. I said, if you see /agenda, this command indicates that we are going to prepare our day's agenda. When you see this, please ask me to list what you want me, what I want to do for the day, then please help me to complete each task. So I'm going to go ahead and say agenda. GPT knows that command. Move this over here. It says, great, let's plan your day. Please list the tasks you'd like to accomplish today. Okay, well, okay, now I'm going to put on my hat. I'm a caseworker hat, all right? And I've just arrived at work. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. I fired up my computer. I've got ChatGPT on my computer. I said, okay, we're going to lay out our day. First, I want to work on my email. Then, just a second, let me move this over here so I can see. Then we're going to go on an encampment visit. We're going to do an encampment visit. Then we're going to do a summary to the COC of our visit. And then we're going to do a press release. That's going to be my day. Okay, those are the 4 things I'm going to do today as a homeless advocacy worker. So ChatGPT says, okay, Kurt, here's your agenda for today. We're going to draft some email. We're going to do an encampment visit. We're going to do a summary for the COC, and we're going to do a press release. So hot dog, here we go. Now, and by the way, it will remember as we go through the day, it will remember what I've already done. I don't have to tell it, so I can say, what's next? Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do an email. Let's respond to an email. So I have this email over here. Let me grab it. Just a second. Oops. And I hit the delete button. So here we go. Hold on just a second. Archive. Okay. Here, I'll just have to start that one again. Hold on, here we go. Compose. I'm going to compose a little message here. It says to dinner. I can't believe I did that. Deleted it. Homeless resources. Say, hello, can you please provide me with some homeless resource information? Greg. Okay, I'll just click on send, send it, put that back over here. Okay, so I'm going to say, let's respond to an email. Here, I'll just put the email in, an email that I found in my mailbox from Greg asking for some homeless resource information. So ChatGPT says, certainly, here's a draft response to Greg's email. Hello, Greg. Thank you for reaching out. Here's the information on homeless resources. Here's our 24/7 hotline and phone number. Here's our local shelter on Huntington Street here in Huntington Beach. If you have an emergency, call 911. These resources are a starting point to assist those in experiencing homelessness. If you need more specific info or additional help, feel free to reach out. I can just copy that, paste it into the email, send, I'm off to the races. Great. So now I'll say email done. What's next? I just go through my day doing all my email. ChatGPT says, next on your agenda is the encampment visit. Could you please provide the name of the encampment you plan to visit? This will help me to prepare for the interviews and any specific information gathering you require. Now, if we look at the document here, under the field encampment command right here, I told ChatGPT that if you see that, this indicates we are conducting interviews at a specific encampment. Respond by asking me the standard interview questions listed below. And then after we're finished, say ready for the next interview. The way I envisioned this was, I'm a caseworker and I'm in the field, I've arrived at the encampment and I begin walking through and I'm interviewing people in the field, asking them questions. I have the same questions to ask. I want to know the state of the people at the camp. The questions are 5 questions listed here. Do I have permission to record your responses? What is your full name? Do you have a nickname? What is your age and date of birth? Where were you born? What are your most urgent needs? And we have some options here. Let's do it. So I'll say, oh, it's Green River encampment. Now we should be off and started. Let's begin with the first interview. So I'll prompt you with these questions. So there's the same questions that we saw just a moment ago. Okay, I'll say, let's do the questions one by one. Great, so I'm walking over to the first person, okay? First person, I'm actually talking to them and saying, okay, do I have permission to record your response? Yes, she says. He says. GPT thinks for a second and says, what is your full name? Do you have a nickname? It's Kurt Bell Softy Papa is my nickname. Noted. Thank you, Kurt. What is your age and date of birth? I'm 59. I was born in May 19th, 1964. Where were you born? Long Beach. What are your most urgent needs? And here's some options here. Shelter, food, blanket, healthcare, other. I'm going to say blanket. Understood. Interview one's most urgent need is a blanket. Ready for the next interview. So now we're moving on to the next interview. Let's take this up a notch, shall we? Let's go hands-free. So what I'm going to do now is bring ChatGPT up, bring up that session. Remember the Green River encampment? I just found it on my phone and I brought it up. The entire dialogue that's on my computer screen is now here. Here we go. I'm walking over to the next interviewee. There's a young woman seated over there. I'm going to go talk to her. Okay, I'm ready for the next interview. Give me the questions.
Sure, here's the first question for interview 02. 1. Do I have permission to record your responses? Please provide their response, and we'll continue with the next question.
Yes. And ChatGPT, don't worry about giving me the extraneous information. Just ask the questions and wait for my answer.
Understood, Kurt. 2. What is your full name? Do you have a nickname?
Emily Bell. I don't have a nickname.
3, what is your age and date of birth?
I'm 23 years old. My birthday was December 19th, 2000.
4, where were you born?
I was born in Goleta, California.
5, what are your most urgent needs? Options are shelter, food, blanket, healthcare, other. If other, please specify.
Why my most urgent need is safety. I'm very scared. It's at night, there are men that come around and bother me, and I'm very frightened of this situation. I don't know what to do.
Understood. Safety concerns, especially at night. Ready for the next interview when you are. Let me know when to proceed.
Okay, we'll stop there. So imagine I'm in the field and I just walk from one person to another, asking the questions myself, or I could actually just hold the phone out and they could talk to ChatGPT as I just did and collect all the information. No note taking necessary, no need to memorize. Now, watch what happens on the screen when I hit the refresh button. This session catches up. There we have all the information for Emily right here, is right there. So when I get back to the office, I can then do a command, a new command. I'll show you the command right here, which is report, encampment name right there. The instructions are generate a summary report of all interviews conducted at this encampment. Here we go. Report Green River encampment. So the AI now is going to generate a report for me about my visit. Summary report, Green River Encampment interviews, location, Green River Encampment. Interview 1, Kurt Bell, there's all my information. Interview 2, Emily Bell, there's her information, especially noting the need for safety. This report compiles information from 2 interviews conducted at the Green River Encampment, highlighting the diverse and pressing needs of its residents. The urgent need for safety and basic necessities like blankets is evident. Further action and resources might be required to address these concerns effectively. Okay, now I'm really worried. I'm worried about Emily. So let me generate an email. There's another command right here, you can see, which is email and recipient name and encampment name. And that's to draft an email to the specified recipient. So I'm going to say /email I'm going to say COC team Green River encampment. So it's going to compose an email. Certainly, here's a draft email to the COC team regarding the Green River encampment visit. Subject, report on visit to Green River Encampment. Dear COC team, I wanted to share insights from my recent visit to Green River Encampment. The purpose of the visit was to better understand, yada. You can see all this information. And there's this bit about Emily right here. And it says right down here, I recommend that we discuss potential strategies to address these concerns, particularly the safety issues raised by Emily. Ensuring a safe environment is paramount for a well-being of all residents. That blows my mind. The AI made a value judgment about the relative importance of that particular situation and highlighted that in its email. This kind of stuff blows my mind whenever it does this, right? I didn't tell it that Emily's needs were more important than the other guy's needs. It figured it out. It's kind of amazing. Now I can just take
And
that
Kurt,
copy. Mhm.
I was just going to say, can we stop because there were several questions that came in.
Sure,
Can you take questions right now? So go
sure. Are we
ahead.
ready? Yeah, are we ready to stop the presentation part and move to that?
No, I think we're good. I just want to stay on this screen and then answer questions because they might relate to the screen. So Ty, go ahead.
Thank you. I had 2 questions. One is fairly specific. Can ChatGPT remediate documents for web posting? Is that something that you can be trained to do?
By remediate, do you mean to prepare them and get them ready for that type of venue and format?
Yeah, well, like we everything we post online has to be like remediated in the sense of like accessible for e-readers for people with vision impairments, and
Oh,
it's an intensive process that I haven't mastered yet. So I'm just wondering if I could teach it to do that for me. It would save me a
let's
lot of time.
Let's try, shall we? So here, I'll just give it a command. I want to post this on our website. Can you please prepare this as a web post and make sure it's ADA compliant? Which is basically what you mean, right? Right?
Correct.
Let's see what it does. Sure, here's a revised version formatted as a web post,
Oh, wow.
ensuring ADA compliance. There you go. Now, of course,
Well,
things like
it's,
there's things on the website that you'd have to tune, like, color
Yeah.
variations that it can't control,
sure.
right?
Yeah. 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 Well, you made my day. I had one other question. Going back to where you had mentioned that it says it couldn't do stuff, I have run into that before with I've just been trying to play with ChatGPT for a while now, and I had tried to ask if I could upload a CSV file. And for those who know me professionally, I want to just clarify this was not anything with any PII on it. It was a CSV
Hmm.
file of publicly available data. I was just trying to play with it to see what it could do with data analysis. And it told me, no, I can't do that for pretty much the same thing that you said. Can I go back and try again and explain to it that it's de-identified, it's publicly available data, or is OpenAI just not allowing CSV uploads?
Yeah, there are some things that are solid lines. I have won 9 out of 10 of my arm wrestling matches with the AI. So I'm usually, if I can adjust my query to make sure that I'm not telling it to do something that's prohibited to do, I'll win. And usually I'm not. So yeah, give it a try again and try some nuanced language.
Great. Thank you very much.
All right,
Sure.
Adrian, you had a question.
Thank you. I have a few concerns. One is that when AI says it has ethical problems, I really hope people will ask what are those problems and make sure that they're not violating them, because there are very huge ethical problems in this work, as all of you know, I'm sure. The second thing is about the alienation of being in an encampment and having a computer ask you questions. This process is already very, very alienated. So I would really disagree with this is a good thing. I can see the attraction of it. It sounds like such a handy dandy kind of thing, but I'm very leery. I think you'll get less information in the end, maybe a lot less. And the last thing is the summary. And again, I'm sure most of you here already do it. There's nothing on Kurt that he didn't, but sending out a COC team with all this identifying names and information would be a big violation of privacy. So you have to go through and redact or ask the chat to redact all of that stuff. Thank you.
Yep, sure, Adrian. Mohan?
I think this is good, Kurt. It's fantastic. In reality, just exactly like what Adrian was saying, how do we get this information to still the real world system? People still have your HMIS and others, and you can collect data. It's definitely a good way to collect data. How do you bring it back into the system? Can you ask this to say, send out, I think you talked about Ty was asking, CSV file. Okay, you collect all this information. Well, this is good. You can't really use it for others. How do you engage, interface with real system that they have to do? So the way I think about is if it can collect all the information, generate all the export, we can quickly bring it into a system and engage, then I can see that if it can do this kind of information, that would benefit. But still, the question of privacy and all these are still very, very much important for all of us.
Mohan, let me try to address your question, which is a great question. And we get a chance here, if you're watching the screen, to see ChatGPT
I
pushing
see
back
it.
on unnecessarily. So I asked it to export as an Excel document, and it said, I can't. Now, I know it can. Instead, what it tried to do was give me a little screen there of the report. So I'll say, yes, you can. Okay, let's see what happens. I usually once or two or three pushes and it'll get it to do it. I apologize for the confusion earlier. And now it's not even doing it. It's giving me this. It's an
Mm-hmm.
amazing how it's sometimes it just refuses. It's like a stubborn child. So when it's done with this, I'll try one more time. please produce a link which I can use to open an Excel document. Let's see if this will get it to do it. There it goes. Three's the charm. So the AI, this is so amazing because I know it can do it, but it throws up roadblocks and says, no, I can't do it. How about this? If you keep on trying, you'll get it to do what it wants. Now let's see, it's just about done. It's going to give me a hyperlink now. And Mohan, I hope this will answer your question. You can
Yes, it
then,
does. Yes.
here's the information. Here, I'll open the document in Excel, convert. Okay, and then you can see all the fields. It takes, you'll have to open them up, right? But here's all the data.
Yes. No.
Yeah, we did play with this, Mohan, but part of the problem is if you're going to try to import this back into the HMIS, you're going to need the client identifier as one of the
Yes.
questions. You're
No.
going to need to
So
feed that in first, right?
exactly.
But
No, I think
that's what we're
those
trying
are
to do.
agreed. There are systems doing the EMPI and all that stuff, so we can manage
Mhm.
all of this. The point I was thinking, and Kurt, I mean, my background is just kind of give you guys honest software business. I'm a healthcare software business, so we build a community kind of a system. So, and we are trying to integrate this. So that's the reason I got and Teddy said, hey, you need to talk to Kurt and listen to this thing. So that's the interest. So I'm constantly tying back. How can I help our clients doing work which they have to do with the standard systems? Can this augment what they're doing? When they're talking to them, can it augment? Can we give them, that's the kind of a thing I was thinking. But I see value is tremendous. You're right, you're just blown away every time it responds with some fantastic answer.
Well, the other thing we played with a little, we didn't play with this directly, but what we talked about was feeding this into one of your databases, like your report writers, like Power
Yeah,
BI, something
yes,
like that. Then you don't need the client identifiers, but you can analyze the encampment data. If
yes,
the,
it's on a
if the
something.
columns
Yes.
are right.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I think the point on is this needs to, at least for the time, I think Adrian is right. We work with a lot of substance use disorder areas there, addiction areas. And if you talk to the peer recovery specialist, the guys who would deal with, talk to them, they will say the same thing what Adrian said. They just don't want to even use anything. They just want to talk. And no, we give them systems, iPad, this and that. No, no, no. They'll just throw everything that we want to talk. That's
Hmm.
how we can get them. Then we'll worry about the data and all. So it is a very different mindset on when you are
Yeah.
on the field and when it happens. So just want to share that.
And honestly, I wish Rajiv hadn't had to, I don't see him here. I wish he hadn't had to drop off because part of the Alameda project that we did was like the fuzzy matching. There's like algorithms and code you can write for that. I mean, it's not easy. It takes like an engineer, but
Yeah,
we did it at Alameda by feeding all the data sources into the social health information exchange out there.
yeah, yeah.
If Nick is still here and can talk about that in a bit, Nick knows a lot about this as well.
In the interest of time, I went ahead and pressed ahead with the next item. Is that all right? I'll just show you
Yeah,
the summary.
Fine,
yeah.
fine, fine.
Great. So I asked the ChatGPT, what's next? And it says, now we're going to write a press release. Remember I told it that was the last thing I wanted to do today? And it says, tell
Mm-hmm.
me about your press release, Kurt. I said, please write a press release for our blanket drive called The Longest Night. And it says, certainly, here's the press release. And here it is right here. For immediate release, Night Reach Outreach announces the Longest Night blanket drive to support the homeless community. And then you have your date information here, and then information about it as winter months approach. And then the Longest Night seeks to collect blankets. And then here's the information how to participate, donate blankets. You just fill in the data. But what I want to show you is that I want to have an image to use with that. So here, I'm going to grab this information here, and I'm going to go over here because I'm going to take that and put that in a Word document. I'll go to DALL-E. Do you see here on the left? That's ChatGPT's image generation tool. I'll click on that and I'll say, please make an image for me to go with the following press release. I'll just type in the press release, and then DALL-E will read it and will produce an image that I can use with a press release. And while it's doing that, are there any questions while it does that? It takes just a second.
It's unbelievable.
And
And
Kurt,
what's
wouldn't
interesting
you
is,
imagine for you guys that are really good at Excel, if you got like a CSV out of this, as long as your columns stayed, standard throughout all of your encampment visits and you weren't moving things around, you could actually, against the HMIS, you could do a VLOOKUPs of some kind to get the, if the names were spelled the right way, to try and match
watch
that with the client ID.
it. Speaking of which, do watch out. Sometimes it doesn't spell right. Here it's misspelled nightlight
Yeah,
outreach.
yeah.
So sometimes
Hmm.
it does. You can tell it to do stuff without spelling anything. There it is. Longest
Hmm.
night like a drive for the homeless. That's a better one. And you can use that in your press release. Go back over to the other one and say, let's try it one more time. And if there's any questions while I'm wrapping this up, just let me know. I'm not in a hurry, but I know I want to respect everybody's time.
Hmm.
Please out, and I know we have questions we want to go through on it from the other thing. Output this press release to a Word document. Let's see if it'll fight me. There, it's going to do it. Okay, I guess it learned its lesson.
Well, training is training, Kurt. I don't know what to say.
Yes. Well, remember, think of it as an intern, right? I mean, they don't understand
Yeah.
everything. You have to vet their results, and sometimes you have to prod them a little bit. So it takes a little while for it to produce that. Are there any questions? And after that, there's just 2 slides and we're done.
Yeah. One comment I want to make is, and as you are thinking, I mean, how can we help real people, the case managers or care coordinators doing this, creating a template, just like what you do, AI intern, a template, multiple templates of the scenarios and scenes that we can build together and then hand off to them. Then that will be, oh, I want this template to fire to ChatGPT and get me the answers. So that's a kind of a thing that we can help to make their life a little more easier. Is a suggestion that we have been thinking and trying to say, what would that be? How would it work? So I can see that what you have done would be
That's
beneficial
exactly, Mohan, that's exactly what I had in mind when I created this document, the AI intern
Yes,
document.
I
I
can see
wanted
that.
I
Yeah.
wanted to give people a starting point in
Yeah.
customizing the AI to meet their needs.
Yes. Now, the only thing on a quick interaction, you want this smaller templates, few things, 4 questions, just go quickly come back and get me how do I respond to that is the way we were thinking. But I think this is fantastic. This is exactly what we were thinking. How do you help people, on the ground? That's the key.
Hmm.
Exactly. I'm trying to help jumpstart utilization, right?
Well,
And
you
here I'm,
count me in. We are already in it. We are already with Teddy and I. We are already thinking through a lot of this. So we are
I know.
already in.
I know. We are, and it's funny. I would assume, Mohan, that like a lot of the HMIS vendors would be kind of starting to look at this for case noting,
Yeah.
whether you're out in the
That's,
field or wherever you're at. Like if they do the integration into something like this,
yes. Yes.
like case noting, housing plans. I'm just trying
We
to.
already have that, Teddy. That's why my interest is the approach that what I was
Ah,
trying to do. We already have
yeah.
the connection to ChatGPT, API connection, and connecting to our system there. But we are just trying to see how do we even simplify. It has to be very seamless for the users. They
Right.
shouldn't feel like
Right.
they got to think. Like all the nice questions he's asking, Curtis putting, it all needs to be like a nice template,
Hmm.
easy for them to ask.
so here's our press release that
Wow,
ChatGPT wrote for us
it's beautiful.
with a nice image. All done. Do you see how this shaves off literally hours of your day, right? Of having to figure all
Oh,
this stuff out. Just
yes,
give it a quick
yes.
read through, see, make sure that it's accurate and correct. And the last couple of things I wanted to show you, 2 things real quick, was remember that one slide that we had where we looked at the prompt that we had, we were told it, where we basically dissected up the prompt. I'm going to take that prompt now and give it to the AI. This is the thing, right? You're a homeless service program manager for nightlight outreach, et cetera, et cetera. Let's see what happens when we give it that. Remember, this was that one PowerPoint slide.
So Kurt, you can put multiple prompts in a session, right? The session is just you're in there. There's a start and end to the time of it, but you can do anything within a session.
Yeah, you can do anything within a session. So it's just like you can see, I can scroll up and see all the things that I did before. They're all here.
Hmm.
So if for example, I visit the Green River encampment today and I named it Green River Encampment, then I come back to Green River Encampment a month from now, I can come back to this session and carry on. And guess what? It will remember all of the information about our visit today. And we can then do a
Hmm.
differences
Yeah, that
analysis.
was my question. That was my question.
So keep these sessions over here, or here, I'll show you this will be the last thing, second to last thing. So here, it created this document. Remember this was the prompt right here, you are a homeless thing? And it
Hmm.
created a document for me to do that thing. Let's see what that looks like.
So
And here
here's,
it
I
is.
don't know if Jamie put this in, but there was some kind of a question about creating procedures
Yeah.
that came through the chat.
Well, look at that. That's what this is, a procedure document we just created.
Uh-huh.
It's a procedure document for,
First,
for,
initial outreach.
yes, step by step.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
and the other thing I was going to say, the other thing we played with the other day was you were speaking into your phone, telling ChatGPT you were driving to the encampment and something about how could you engage people. It just rattled, I think, this kind of
let's let's
information right off.
let's give that a try. Here we go.
Okay.
Hey, ChatGPT, I'm driving to the Green River encampment right now, and I've got this real challenge. I've got all these great services I want to help people with, but see, people seem to be reluctant. They seem to be afraid or mistrustful, or maybe they don't want to leave their community. I can't quite figure it out. Have you got any advice about how I can approach people at the camp and maybe help them to accept the services we have to offer?
Driving to the Green River encampment with a goal to help is commendable, Kurt. It's common for people experiencing homelessness to feel hesitant
Thanks, Jamie.
or mistrustful, especially towards new faces offering help. Here are some tips for approaching them. 1. Build trust first. Start by establishing a rapport. Introduce yourself, explain your intentions clearly, and ensure they understand your role. Be patient and don't rush this process. 2. Listen more, talk less. Show genuine interest in their stories. Listening more than you talk can make them feel heard and valued, which is crucial in building trust. 3. Respect their space. Recognize and respect their space and belongings. This respect can go a long way in building a positive relationship. 4. Empathy over sympathy. Try to understand their situation from their perspective. Empathy shows that you respect their feelings and experiences. 5. Community feel. Understand the community dynamics. For many, the encampment is not just a place to stay, it's a community. Acknowledge and respect this aspect. 6. Gradual introduction of services. Initially, focus on basic needs like food, clothing, or medical aid. Gradually introduce other services as you build a rapport. 7. Offer choices. Whenever possible, offer choices rather than making decisions for them. This empowers them and may make them more receptive to assistance. 8. Consistent presence. Regular visits can show commitment and reliability, which helps in building trust over time. Remember, each individual's situation and response will be unique. Patience and a non-judgmental attitude are key. Stay safe on your journey to the encampment, and good luck with your efforts.
There you go.
That's the kind of
Training on your phone.
That's the kind of talk I have this kind of talk with it all the time when I'm going to a meeting at work with a new customer.
Hmm.
I'll ask about how should I approach this. How do I deal with it if they don't want my help as a project manager. It's really helpful.
We don't have time today, but what I'd love to plug into this at another time is best practices for housing problem solving and see what that comes up with. Since that's like that's a service that HUD's really pushing now. So yeah.
My last two slides here, and then we can I'll be done with that. Is that a quote here from Mo Gaudet? In the age of the rise of machines, the only skill that will remain is human connection. My friends, that's exactly what you are, the business you are in. So your jobs are safe. We are in the human connection business, and this is going to help us. the question then is, what is our purpose then in the age of machines? We need to think about that because they're going to free us up to have more time. And that's the end of my presentation. A chance for open discussion. Thank you, everybody.
That was great.
This is
So
fantastic.
we said we would go until 2:30, and I know that people, it's a Friday, and people, we're willing to stay and kind of play around a little bit more. But Kurt also mentioned that he'd be open to doing another session like this and then diving more deeply into the actual use cases. I know that I had a little randomizer. I can show that anyway, just to show people what we were going to do if you want to stay and play for just a little while longer. But let me show you that. So basically what we were going to do was I loaded all of the problems that you wanted to solve for people who put that in the survey, and we were just going to randomize it here and pick one to play with. And so the one that came up is make it, here you go. Nothing in particular at this time. So let me do this again. I thought I took that one out. Oh, here you go. Streamline access to homeless response system. When you paste them in here, they kind of get typos, but those are kind of the things we were going to do. I don't know that we've got a lot of time to do that today, but Kurt was willing to come back and play with this a little bit more. If there's any interest in doing that, we can do this again. And then Adrian, what I'm going to do is talk to you about how this could work for you guys and without the worries of the personal identifiers. Because there's a way to do that. I mean, if you take case note hard copy paper out into the field, you're going to transfer those back into the computer anyhow. So you're actually at more danger of exposing identifiers than you would be keeping it digitally. So we can talk about that
Yeah,
as time goes on.
no need to do that, Teddy. I understand that part.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Sharing it
Um,
summary with the COC, which was not de-identified. That's the point I made.
Oh yeah, no. And we talked about that too. You could send it to anybody. I mean, you wouldn't want to email that, but if you could download it into a spreadsheet, then what I'm thinking honestly is a way to upload it into the HMIS and have it match, the right people.
Kurt,
I think there's a way to do.
Yeah, one quick question for you. As this is great for the data collection. As you're collecting information about multiple people, is it possible for us to say, hey, just separate information for each one independent? I can get all the conversation about in this and that as a separate PDF for, let's say, Emily, you talk to Emily separate and John separate. Create these documents because I'm thinking again from the point of view of day-to-day system, HMIS. I get this, I can attach to those records in those systems and say, oh, yeah, this is the conversation, by the way, I had it. So
Yes.
automatically generating this and uploading to a FTP. I mean, this is the kind of a system level efficiency we can bring to the whole process.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Certainly, you can do that nuanced query and say, I want to just pull out Emily's information for a particular use. Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, that's. I just wanted to say that's doable because those are the efficiency improving points that I see. So, excellent, guys. I definitely want to talk to you, Kurt, later on at some point with Teddy and you and me.
I'll get you guys connected.
Yeah,
I thought you'd want to connect with Kurt Mohan.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Thanks. And Nick, I'm sorry, I hope you come back. I want to know how Alameda's using this as well, but I think too, I'm laughing here because Carissa joined a little bit ago. Carissa's from, Sonoma County, and she's the COC coordinator, and so she's in charge of, writing HERD over the collaborative application, which I explained a little bit about that to Mohan and Kurt. It's a big competitive thing that we do, through HUD. But I wonder, because Jamie asked this a little bit earlier, like what government agencies are going to have, want to declare that you used AI in the compilation of documents, right? So I could see a use case here, in some way for doing your continuum collaborative application, but I don't know. I'll have to ask one of the desk officers if they see that on the horizon, like that kind of disclosure. So Mohan, did you have another question?
It's the same. I just talked perhaps prior to that, but no other question. I think overall it was fantastic, Kurt. And as I said, there is a lot constantly thinking of ways to help people on the ground? How do we do that? How do we make their life easier so that they have more time to engage with people that they need to engage with? That is what
Yeah,
we need to do. All the background headaches we got solved for them.
Yes,
that's
I
great.
agree.
And Ty, I think you had your hand up too.
Yeah, I was just going to speak to I was just going to speak to what you talked about. I have used it before to help draft like responses to like questions and reports and stuff like that, but I didn't
Oh,
know.
cool.
Yeah, and it was very helpful. It was just like compile the ideas and it put it together. So it is a good use case. I don't know.
Well,
You're right. They may ask you to identify it in the future, but
yeah, trust me, I'm going to follow up on that with somebody I've been dealing with at HUD. I'm going to ask that question if they've even thought of it yet, because writing the COC application, I mean, you have to have a lot of knowledge and relationship information about the COC. It's just, it's not very generic, is what I'm saying, Kurt. It's very personal, like these collaborative applications. They're very personal. You have to have a really good idea about like what the relationships are in a continuum area and who's doing what and who's being effective, all that kind of thing. So anyway, it's just something to think about for the future. But all right, any other questions from anybody? Is anyone interested in not doing this from the start again, but coming in to play with this more in another session, maybe after the first of the year? Jerry, you are? Okay.
I am. This is Ty.
Okay. Okay, cool. Uh, okay,
And
Mohan.
everybody,
Oh,
I am available. I just, like I said, this is just a volunteer thing. I'm just doing this
Yeah,
for
it's
because I
crazy.
want to help. If you ever would like me to talk with any of your groups, I'm happy to do the same.
yeah.
All right.
Definitely, Kurt. I definitely want to chat with you and just to see what we can do to, streamline this process for them in real world. That's the only thing I really need help with. So,
Very,
okay,
very happy
good.
to do so.
Yeah, it's
Thank you.
great,
Thank you
Mohan. And
so much,
then,
Kurt.
the experts in the field who generally are going to be the case management staff, they can provide a lot of use cases for this,
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
so I think it's pretty cool. Well,
And
anyway,
thing is, not only for this home, it can be for the addiction space too. That's anything, right?
oh
It
yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
matter. It's
yes,
all the things,
definitely.
addiction space and chronic care management. I mean, it's unlimited
Hmm.
opportunities to help people.
Yep, completely. So, all right. Well,
Okay,
if there's
good.
no other questions, I'm gonna let this video in GoToMeeting takes about an hour and a half to get finished rendering. So I'll try to upload it over the weekend and then I'll just do an email Monday morning with like the link to the video. And then Kurt's also going to send me the slides. So you can
Okay.
And
remember like the context.
All the, yes.
sure, and I'll send you the AI intern document as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
wonderful.
exactly. That'd be great. All right, everyone. Well,
Uh,
go enjoy your weekend and wish for another just one weekend of kind of summery weather. I know that's closing in pretty quickly, but we'll talk to everybody soon.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks, Kurt.
Thanks,
Fantastic.
Kurt.
Appreciate it. Thanks,
Thank you,
Teddy.
everybody.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
See you later.